Good morning. What a difference a week makes. In last week's video, the leaves were just amazing. This week, they're all down, all in the matter of a week. When they fall fast. Good morning, everybody. I'm just making breakfast and getting going for the day. It's a little bit late in the morning, so we're going to kind of call this a brunch, and I'm going to make kind of a bigger breakfast to tide me over until dinner time. Got some eggs frying in the pan. Got some peanut butter toast. So on the agenda today is a mixed match of various odds and end projects. We've got a couple of things to do on the bunkhouse, including putting in a set of stairs. I am going to put a deck on the bunker eventually, but that is looking like it's probably going to be in the spring, just because I think in the 2 weeks deer season starts. We will be busy hunting, and I'm not going to want to be making a ton of noise. And just some general odds and ends before the winter comes. All the little things that need to be done before you put everything to bed for the winter. Somebody's probably looking at this plate and saying, geez, that's a pretty big breakfast. 3 eggs and 4 pieces of toast? Well, the fact of the matter is I'm going to eat about half of this, and old River Dog gets his share as well. The solar was up to 100%, and I just had the fridge open, putting some groceries in it. So I'm pretty convinced at this point that we just weren't getting enough solar charging because of all the leaves on the trees and the diminishing angle of the sun. So hopefully we're on top of this and we don't have to worry about it anymore. There will be times when I may want to run a generator as my main power source to power the electric needs of the cabin. And since I have this wired for 110 this time, it should be pretty easy to do that. The way that I did this with the cabin was using a pass-through port, and a lot of people use this for like their fishing boats, and it's a plug-in from the outside for charging batteries that are stowed away. So it's about $22, $25, I think, at your typical farm stores. I could just use a chunk of extension cord and an exterior outlet, and the reality is this is just really clean and easy and goes together pretty fast, and I like it. So that's what we're going to do. That way, if we don't have a battery in here, which we do, but we don't have a charge controller or inverter yet because we don't have solar yet. So we're either going to use a power pack, or if I need to charge the battery without solar, I have a way to plug in from the outside and run the generator outside instead of snaking an extension cord through a window or something. Of course, I used the wrong size hole saw, so I had to come back and use my jigsaw to make the hole a little bit bigger so that the base of this could fit in there. But anyway, I'm going to run a bead of silicone around there, and then there's 3 screw holes that it comes with screws. Like I said, it just has the female or the male ends for plugging in the extension cord. It works really slick. And it's marine grade, so it's all waterproof, weatherproof. Good stuff. Whenever I want to charge my portable power banks, I have to bring out my portable solar panels, but I have to have the solar bank close enough to the solar panel to charge it. For the solar that comes into the house to the charge controller, it just goes through the wall. But the problem is it comes from the wall right into the charge controller, and it doesn't give me any outputs for solar power inside the cabin. As you can see, we're back to 100% and we're charging batteries, and then we've got the fridge going at the correct temp. So it must have just been the leaves that were blocking all the solar. So what I plan to do here is I am going to put a box and I'm going to run solar connectors through the wall. That way I can have a solar panel out here and have my charging bank in the cabin, and that way I can use the charging bank at the same time that I'm charging it from the sun. Now, because I'll have 2 connectors on the inside of the cabin, I could then either connect these to a pigtail that would run to the charge controller to run like an inverter, or I can use an adapter and go right to the power bank. So a couple of years ago, I bought an extension for solar adapters for the Big Blue Eddy. The problem is, I think I got a T60 or a T90 connector. I don't remember which one this is, but it was the wrong size. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run this side through the wall, and this will be outside to connect to solar panels. This one I'll cut the ends off and I'll put some MC4 connectors on it, and that way I can use solar inside the cabin for the power banks or attach it to a pigtail and go to a MPPT charge controller. These boxes are so ugly, and I might replace them at some point, but for now, that's what I have on hand. Pretty tight fit, but she'll work. And I think we'll close up that hole with silicone just to keep the varmints out for now. There. I think that'll work for our purposes. Every fall I hang up a tarp across the face of the wood pile, and it just so happens that this tarp banner that I got from a museum down in the Twin Cities of Minnesota. They were selling all the exhibits from their displays, and I think I got this tarp for like $5 or $10. And I thought it was kind of cool because I've been to this place before, but mostly because it was really functional for covering the wood pile. So it's a little bit hard to see because the firelight is reflecting on the tarp, but this was a prairie photography project by Jim Brandenburg. And for those of you who do not live in northern Minnesota, you might not know that Jim Brandenburg is very well known for his photographs of wolves and the North Shore of Minnesota. So it's kind of a cool tarp. And I've actually been to this place. It's Touch the Sky Prairie. It's down in southwest Minnesota, and I've run some trails down there, and it's really kind of a cool area. So I got this tarp for like, I don't know, like $5 or $10 when they were selling the displays when they rotated through the museum exhibits. So it was kind of fun, and I think it serves well as both a tarp against the elements for the woodpile and also as kind of a cool picture. I mean, if you're going to throw a tarp up, make it look cool, right? That's my theory anyway. Good morning. It is that time of year where we have to run the wood stove all night long. Let's get this bed made and get going for the day. I've just been continuing to do some odds and end projects around the cabin today. And one of the things that I did do was I got the brace put on the chimney stack, and now I'm going to go throw some insulated pipe on the deer stand rails. One of you commented in the getting ready for hunting video to put some pipe insulation around the rails, and that will help dampen any sound as well as make a nice little gun rest. So I got some insulation. We're going to go run out to the south stand and get that put on. I'm not sure if we'll get to the power line stand or not tonight, but that's what's cooking. Yeah, this will be a good idea. Wasn't me. Somebody must be grouse hunting. I hope that's what they're shooting. We got a problem if they're shooting deer. All right, we're all set on that one. Oh, if I need worms for fishing, they haven't hibernated yet. I've been needing to put a set of steps on this place forever, and I was kind of holding off in case I got to the deck this fall, but clearly that's not going to happen. So I've resigned myself to the fact that the deck will come in next spring, but for now, we got to put some stairs on this thing because jumping up and down split logs in the winter is not going to work. So I saw this little trick. I wish I could say it was my idea, but it's not. Instead of spending a bunch of money on these pre-cut stair stringers, which are like somewhere between 25 to 30, 40 bucks a piece, depending on how long you get, buy a 2x12 board and either take one of these stringers in Home Depot and set it on the board and trace it out. Buy the 2x12 for 20 bucks and come home and cut your stringers out. Well, the problem for me is I think I need 3 stringers. So I just bought one of these because buying an extra 2x12 was almost the same money as buying one more of these. And plus I'd have the waste. So here we are with this one. And if I decide to go with 2 stringers, I can always bring this one back to Home Depot. All right, let's get cutting. I think she might be toast, boys and girls. This may be the end of Old Blue. Last fall when I was cutting siding, I thought it was dying and it kind of resurrected back to life, but I don't think that's a good sign. Well, I've been probably due for a saw for quite a while. Obviously, I'm just a hobby builder, but I've had that saw for probably 8 years. I mean, when I bought this place, I bought that saw and I've cut a lot of boards with it. Yep, I think she's done. Yeah, she's still smoking. She actually might be on fire. It might be on fire. Whoa, whoa, there's actually flame in there. There's actually, I just saw fire shooting out of there. If you can see it or not. I'm sure the sawdust in there is burning. Ah, stymied again. I wonder if it's just sawdust in there, maybe. I think we'll just set this over here in a safe place, away from any combustibles. So I was just finalizing the wiring in the bunkhouse tonight. So all the wiring is completely done. I may end up taking all the loose wires and putting them into like a circuit box. And I still need to run a ground as well. But for right now, I'm just using like a solar generator or a power bank where you can plug it right in. So essentially I'm treating the wiring in the bunkhouse right now as kind of like extension cords. But anyway, I just thought I'd give you a look to see how things kind of turned out with the lighting in the stove and whatever else. So the lighting in the bunkhouse, we have 2 main lights. And then we have the fan that has a soft light as well if we wanted to just use that. And of course, I've got a nice little fire going that you maybe can't see because it's kind of light. No, you really can't see it. So anyway, one of the cool features about these lights, and they were the same in the bathroom, is if you click the switch down once and up, it turns it into this soft mood light. And what I like about this is it's just enough light to like get around, kind of like a night light, but it only takes 11 watts. So that's a pretty cool feature with these LEDs. The one thing I'm finding out is I don't like this stove at all. It is way too shallow of a firebox. So every time, now I'm confident all my first burns are done, so I'm not getting any smoke from curing paint or oil in the pipes, anything like that. The problem is because the firebox is so shallow, whenever you open the door to feed wood, look at the smoke come out of there. And I do have a good draft. My damper's not even open. I'm getting good draw out of the chimney stack. But the problem is it's just so shallow that when the door is open, it just allows the smoke to come into the room. So I think this stove was only maybe $500 or $600, and I got it on like this super clearance deal for like $200 or something, like $225, something like that. I don't remember. Well, the bad news is getting a decent stove is probably going to cost close to $2,000. So I'm going to have to weigh how much use I'm going to get out of another stove in here this winter. versus waiting until spring and doing something with it then. I don't know. So definitely some things to consider in the near future. And we are back with a new saw. Today, the temperature is much cooler than it has been, and they're forecasting snow tonight. So I really would like to get these done before the day is done. We are right on the money right there. We are right there. All right. That's amazing. Did I mention before I have no idea what I'm doing? It's on for size. All right. Let's see how bad the damage is. It'll take that all day long. All right, so they said, from what I read, do 2 inches, 1 inch over on each side. Seem about right? 39. Well, I can see a problem right now is that I'm going to be 1 board short. Okay, the stairs are done for today. Nice and sturdy, no wobble. Are they level though? We should check that. What's the chances? Oh, looking good. It could be tweaked. That looks perfect. This one could come up just a little bit on this end, I think. Today is a day of just doing odds and ends stuff. Like this log that's been sitting here for, I don't know, a month and a half. Why I haven't cut it so I can split it, I have no idea. Gee, that took a whole 60 seconds. Why didn't I do that before? Sometimes you just walk away from a project and move on to something else. And it's kind of like an out of sight, out of mind, except this has been in my sight for a month and a half. Every time I go to the wood pile, every time I split wood, every time I have a bonfire, and I have not done it. Why? Why? I don't know. But it's done now. Trying to stack some of this wood that I split last week, get it off the ground for the winter. And I got 2 red squirrels in this wood pile that have been playing hide and seek with me. If I only had a dog who liked to chase squirrels, right? And where is he at, you may ask? Taking a nap in the van. Old Mr. Geriatric, you know. Gotta take a nap every 20 minutes. I've got more wood than I know what to do with. The problem with it is, none of it's ever dry enough for burning when I need it. One nice thing about that popple is it makes really nice kindling. It's so light and it just lights up really quick. Burns fast, but lights easy. Everything's changing. You can feel it in the air. So I figured I'd fill up the winter wood box in the porch Although this ash that I cut up from that was laying on the ground, it doesn't feel quite as dry as I would like it to be. There is nice dry wood in the wood pile, but unfortunately it's towards the back, so I'm trying to dig a hole out to get to the further back stuff. Once this stuff if the coal bed is really established, this stuff will burn, but if it's not, it will just kind of sit and smolder. But once it gets on, once it takes off, it's some good firewood. Nice wood. This is that black ash we cut. Well, everybody, it's time to make this video a wrap and say goodbye. But I do appreciate you hanging out with the old River Dog and I this week. It's been great having you along. And I appreciate all the comments, the likes, and the new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. But don't worry, we'll be back soon. Next video up is probably going to be the deer camp video. So hopefully you'll come along with us for the hunt as well. And as always, we will see you soon. I saw something dark down in the ditch and there were some ravens eating on it. I thought maybe it was the timber wolf, so I figured I'd pull over and stop, but no, it's just a bear. Pretty small bear, but a bear no less. Ugh. I should GPS this and come back for the skull in a couple months. Well, I drug it down a little further in the ditch. Check back. Oh man, she's stinky. Whew. I'll check back in a few months and see if the skull is good for picking.